to East Malaysia to meet these amazing Sabahan and Sarawakian ladies is definitely going to be a long-lasting memory. From the roots of Mount Kinabalu to the lullabies of Semban Ring ladies, I'm Karishma. Join me in a mystical journey in search of the evergreen and still existing tales of the legends of Borneo. A woman who walks in purpose doesn't have to chase people for opportunities. Her light causes people an opportunity to chase her. If you live for people's acceptance, you'll die of their rejections. When you're not someone's priority, do not let them treat you as an option. Hi viewers, I'm Karishma and this is The Legends of Borneo. A qualified graduate gemologist, she is not only good in identifying the best gems around, but she is also good in picking the right local ladies to uplift their life. With passion in sports and F&B as well, let's see what other surprises awaits us from our next guest in Ethnic Warrior. Olivia Carla Ling, who has so much love to give and still wants to give and do more for others. Let's hear from her. She herself is a gem of a person. Hi Olivia, how are you?
Hi Karishma, I'm well, thank you very much.
All right, so tell me a little about yourself, your origins and your background.
Okay, so I'm a Fuchao girl originally from Cebu. So Cebu is a small town in Sarawak. I was born in Singapore and 2 years later I moved back to Cebu with my parents and I lived in Cebu until I was 11 years old. Then when I was 11, my father and my mother decided to send me to New Zealand to study. So my mom's originally from New Zealand, so that was a logical place for them to pick, I suppose, when they were choosing somewhere abroad for me.
Yeah.
So then I ended up in New Zealand at 11 years old, and I stayed there for the rest of my primary, my secondary, and my university days as well.
Yeah. Great. So doing very well in Shanghai, what brought you back to Kuching?
I actually ended up back in Cebu first. My late father was ill. He took ill very suddenly and he passed away very suddenly within 2 weeks.
I'm sorry.
So what had initially been a trip home to just make sure my father was okay and to spend some time with him and look after him in the hospital and make sure he got home safely ended up being, a trip that I never left in a way. So I ended up moving back to Cebu.
Right.
So I was in Cebu for a few years and it was only subsequent to that I moved to Kuching. And I realized that there was no way that I could continue one path. I couldn't insist on wanting to do like luxury retail or luxury jewelry. There wouldn't be the market in Cebu. So that's when I became pregnant with my eldest daughter. And when I was pregnant with her, I was still working in the family business and tying up some loose ends from my father's business. Then I realized that there was actually a huge gap in the retail scene in Cebu. I wasn't able to buy anything for my baby. So even milk bottles, down to teats, I had to ring my sister-in-law in KL and ask her to FedEx things in for me, courier milk powder in for me. So I thought, okay, well, I've been in retail. I understand, how operations work, and I'm technically strong in that area. I'm just going to have to be a bit creative about the type of business it is. It's not going to be luxury jewelry anymore. It's going to be like milk powder and diapers. So that's how I started Poppies in Cebu. Yeah, and then from Cebu, we then opened more branches around Sarawak, and one of those branches was in Kuching, and that's how I ended up moving the family out to Kuching.
So being in the retail business and currently having an F&B outlet, and now you're sitting in a restaurant, how did you engage yourself to the Penang project?
Okay, so my journey is like one that has many turns.
Noticed.
So yes, noticed. So when I was in Cebu and I was involved in retail, I made some very good friends who were involved in the F&B business. So I'd been telling these two friends, it's time to move to Kuching because I'd moved my retail business. I'd expanded my retail business and moved my base to Kuching. So I could really see that there was a big market in Kuching. It was very vibrant. There were lots of opportunities here. So immediately when they arrived from the airport, we went to see like vacant spots spots.
Yeah.
And I think one of the first ones that we found was the one that we fell in love with, and that was our first restaurant in Kuching.
Oh, right.
So then we opened a subsequent restaurant in Kuching a few years later, and then this, where we're sitting today, is actually Wonder Boom, and that's the third restaurant for us in Kuching.
Wow.
And we also started a food truck. The food truck concept was so that we could cater for all different businesses, and we could participate in charities as well. And then the
project.
the Penang project, how I got involved with that.
Yeah.
So when I first moved back and started Poppies, we spent the first few years just getting the business on the ground, off the ground. We spent the first few years making sure the business was profitable. And when it was, then I felt the urge, and I felt my dad's voice in my head telling me, "No, it's time. You need to do something to help, the wider community."
To give back.
Yeah. So Poppies started looking for a CSR project. So I kept looking, and then I found another group called the Penang Women's Project, and I met a lady called Anne, and Anne was really inspirational. So I worked with her when I did a fair, and I actually, that was how we met. We comped one space for her during the fair, and then I saw how hard she worked, and I talked to her about the story behind it. So I remember coming back up to the office and telling my staff, we found it. I know what Poppies can do, right? So Anne works with the Penang ladies, and the NGO purchases raw materials, and then these ladies, they live deep in the interior. They come down to Miri. There's a depot in Miri where they pick up the raw materials. They take the raw materials back to the settlement, and then they work on the raw materials, and then they produce like end products like these. So the end products are then brought back down to Anne at a depot in Miri, and then immediately the Penang ladies get paid. So it's a great way for the Penang ladies to be economically viable.
Yeah.
It's a great way for them to bring in extra income for the families. So I'm able to provide space. I'm able to provide a guest list. I'm able to put together events or pull Penang Women's Project into the events that I'm doing to give them a platform to sell.
Yeah.
So how we first started was really providing a commercial platform to move the product.
That's an amazing story, Olivia. So I was informed that you're involved in Sarawak's gymnastic. So how did that happen?
Okay, that came about because I have a son who's in the state team for artistic gymnastics, and I have a daughter who's in the state team for rhythmic gymnastics. So as a parent, you slowly get sucked into these things.
Yeah.
So I came on board because I could see where I could help, maybe in fundraising. So that's how the association with them started.
So Olivia, that was an amazing story, and it's just so inspiring that you keep doing for people and you're wanting to do more. And our best wishes from us to you. Thank you for being our guest in Ethnic Warrior.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
It's our pleasure. Thank you very much, Olivia. To helping those in need, our next guest is certainly the first to lend her helping hand. She is a childhood cancer advocate, and she is an active lady, as she was one of those to climb Mount Everest base camp. Let's meet Jody Sim in our next segment, You're the Woman. Many friends can be delightful and a happy experience. I'm in a place called Halfway Home with Jody Sim, and she has a lot of friends here, but with a special story behind them. Let's hear it from her. Hi Jody, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for coming.
Alright, so tell me a little about yourself, your origins and your background.
So I'm born and bred in Borneo. I have two siblings, a boy and a girl. They're both in different countries right now, actually. But I grew up mainly in Kuching. At that time, when I was growing up, it was when there was still a lot of greens. So I remember the back of my house, it was a jungle, and they were developing it. So every day in the evening, we'll be walking around the jungles and to check out, like different plants and stuff, but things has really evolved nowadays. After high school, I went to Australia, Perth, for my university. So I studied in commerce and finance. I was there for 3 years before coming back to pursue a career in audit.
So Jody, how did your initial interest begin in childhood cancer awareness?
So when I came back and started working in Kuching, I was interested to see if there was such an organization in Kuching, and there was. But the first time when I went to approach the society, they were not ready for like volunteers to come in on a weekly basis. So it was only after when I started my marketing and publishing company and I got to meet one of the committee that the interest really started from there, when they told me that they wanted to do a fundraising project that was very different to raise funds and awareness for the society. Yeah.
So talking about halfway home, how important is it, do you think, to have a place like this to help these children?
So the halfway home is actually one of the services that Sarawak Children Cancer Society provides. The Sarawak General Hospital, which is located in Kuching, is the main treatment center in Sarawak. So for patients coming from Miri or Bintulu or Cebu, who may not have a place to stay. So at least with this place right now, they can focus on caring for their child. Our society also provides the ration. We buy the chicken, the vegetables. So when they come back from the hospital, they actually can just directly prepare the dishes. And there's also transport to send them to and from the hospital. So it really takes away quite a big chunk of the financial burden. So at least their parents or their other family members do not have to worry about the other caregivers who are here, so they can focus on the treatment of the child.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Jody, how close are you to this place?
It's really close. When I started volunteering for the society, we did not have this home. We had not raised enough money. We were given a government quarters, which was near the hospital. And through our event, which is called the Global Event, which is our fundraising, which I started, that's where we started to raise the money. So in 2013, we raised enough money to build the center. The land is given by the government, and it cost about 2.3 million to build. So in the previous center, we only had 3 rooms, but this center, we have 13 rooms. So we can provide each family unit with their own room. Being in the society for the past 10 years, watching it grow from a small organization and being part of the process from a volunteer myself to a full-time staff now, things has evolved quite a lot. Hope is beyond life or death. Hope is not only for the child to survive, but it's also for the family to move on or to give them that last wish that they grant for their kids. Like we have brought kids to see a panda, to Legoland, to have theme parties, and families who get really involved in planning this last wish, or when they come together to walk this journey with the kids, they tend to move on, knowing that you've given your best.
You look at the brighter side.
And also having the families come together.
So having so much happen, Jody, what inspires you to be on this journey?
When I was young, I went to an old folks home, and I saw this lady. She was giving me a 20-cent coin. At that time, we didn't have mobile phones. Asking me to call the son, to ask the son to come and pick her up. I just felt it was very uncomfortable, like why all these things are happening. And also watching Oprah Winfrey and all these other shows growing up, just realizing there's so much things happening in the world. And just felt that I wanted to do something. People say that, you know, I'm helping the kids or we are helping the kids, but honestly, the kids and the parents are helping us. They're helping us, or helping me to realize how fortunate I am. Helping me to realize that
to appreciate this,
to appreciate, to that this 24 hours of being able to travel, being able to walk or see or to go freely, that how blessed I am to truly be alive.
So that explains your visit to Mount Everest Base Camp and your recent visit to Desert Safari in Abu Dhabi.
Well, in a way, I think it's really to seize the moment, carpe diem, they say, and honestly, going to Everest Base Camp has changed a lot of my life. It has opened another world, a world that I've never seen, like so majestic, like how nature, like to be part of nature, but to be so small, and at the same time to see how people are so resilient, like seeing people live on top of mountains where there's no water, it's so cold, there's no food, and going to Abu Dhabi to see as well the desert, the endless desert.
Yes.
And
that must have been an experience to you.
Lying there that night, looking at the stars and imagining our forefathers who were walking through these deserts. Would they imagine that the world today would turn out the way it is? How did they navigate? How did they create all these compasses or all these things to move through? The desert looks the same to me, and I just find it that human beings are really, really amazing. That we will find our own way in different places in the mountains, in the desert, in the sea, to survive and to navigate our own life. And it's really, really eye-opening for me.
Well, I believe somewhere in our life we all are searching for something. But where do you see yourself in the upcoming years?
But on this journey where whatever I do that will be adding value to humanity in some form or another, I see myself trying new things, going new places. In the world that we live in that's very fast-paced, I see myself as a role model to other women that we can, I wouldn't say have it all, but we can excel in our career. We can have fantastic relationships. A motivation for me, like to be on a show, to be able to expose myself. But I do see myself inspiring women.
You sure do.
On this journey.
So Jody, it's really amazing and very inspiring to see what you're doing for the kids out here in the Cancer Awareness Society, and it also has to be a very emotional journey to you. Just stay as amazing as you are, and thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on Legends of Borneo. You're the woman who inspires me and many women out there. Thank you very much, Jody.
Thank you.
Dance troupe brings fame to Sarawak, creating apes from Australia to America and across the globe. Charming Orang Ulu maidens following the pattern of the hornbill, or the rugged Iban warriors performing with shield in hand, dancing with the rhythm of the deep gongs. Yes, I'm finally at the very famous Sarawak Cultural Village. So, let the rural raven spread the wings. Replica buildings representing every major ethnic group in Sarawak. All buildings are staffed with their members of their ethnic group wearing their traditional costume, carrying out their traditional activities. Their staff act as storytellers to describe and interpret their way of life. Sarawak Cultural Village also has an award-winning dance troupe. They will entertain you with their multicultural dance performance in their village theatre twice a day. A few far-sighted planners suggested that we build a model village or longhouse within easy reach of Kuching. In the 1970s, cultural performances in a Langkau in the museum gardens scored a spectacular success. This reactivated the idea. The reservoir park was suggested as a possible site, so was Sungai China in Matang. The Sarawak Museum contributed ethnographic and cultural input, but nothing came of it. There were other development priorities. But built it they did, Sarawak Cultural Village took shape with a Budaya, Iban, Orang Ulu and Melanau Longhouse, a Penan hut and a Malay village house, and a Chinese farmhouse. By mid-1989, a solemn housewarming ceremony with offerings and sacrifice put life into the empty wooden structures. The dream had become reality. Tell me about the multiple houses here.
Yeah, in this village we have, this is showcase of Sarawak. We show you the 7 major ethnic tribes in Sarawak. Yeah. 3 longhouses belong to the native. The native are called the Dayaks. If you mention the word the Dayaks, it's referred to native of Sarawak. So beside that, we have 12 house, belong to the Melanau races. We have Malay house and the Chinese house. So this is a living museum with the concept of visit Sarawak in a day. So if you haven't been to Sarawak and you want to explore Sarawak, you want to see all the races in Sarawak, this is the best place for you to visit.
All right. So what other cultures and activities we can expect from this place?
Well, this, as I told you, that this is living museum. When you visit all the houses, there are activities in the houses, like weaving, carving, and of course the knife making here. So we have all the expertise doing the demonstration activities in this village. So in the theatre show, we have the dance from the Malay community, the Budaya community, known as the Hill tribes, the Iban community, known as the Sea Dayaks, and we have the Orang Ulu and Melanaus.
All right. So there's a specific warrior dance here, right? So can you tell me a little about that?
So the dance that you're about to see, especially the man with a blowpipe, is representing the Orang Ulu, or considered like the warrior, Ulu warrior, is going hunting. So they are skilled at making and using the blowpipe.
Since the tourism industry took its first commercial step into Sarawak in the 1960s, the adventurers found Borneo's unique houses an irresistible attraction. Of course, they wanted to see the landscape of breathtaking splendor and the world's richest ecosystem. But the fascinating array of people and culture was the real magnet. You do not always need magic to disappear. You just need a destination. And Borneo is definitely a place that you do not want to miss. With all these wonderful ladies and their inspiring stories, I will definitely miss this place for sure. Till I meet you again in the future, with lots of love, I'm Karishma and this is The Legends of Borneo.